right, I've discussed this on the program many times. Both CVS and Walgreens have indicated they intend to join the abortion industry by distributing dangerous chemical abortion pills from their stores, essentially turning your neighborhood pharmacy into an abortion facility. But in some good news, Walgreens confirmed that they will not be selling these risky pills in stores in the state of Kansas or distribute them by mail in that state. Now, this announcement came in response to a letter from the Kansas Attorney General, Kris Kobach, informing the national pharmacy chain that such actions in his state were illegal. He's now asked CVS to do the same. Now, could this be a path forward for other states with pro-life leaders? Well, joining me now to discuss this and more is Kansas Attorney General Kris Kobach. General, good to see you again.
Great to be with you.
So it was just earlier this month that you wrote to Walgreens informing them that selling abortion pills in Kansas is a federal crime. Were you surprised that they responded so quickly and positively?
Actually, I was. I thought perhaps they might dig their heels in or take a very long time to give us an answer. But to Walgreens' credit, they evidently looked at the legal background and the statutes in question and decided that the right move for them was to fully comply with the law and to agree not to dispense within the state of Kansas. And so we are hoping that CVS reaches the same conclusion.
Now, I know in the last 2 years under the Biden administration, the attorneys general of the states, the Republicans, have been really a brick wall against some of the policies pushed by the Biden administration. Is this something you've discussed with some of your counterparts in other states?
Yes, absolutely. And in fact, there is a 25-state lawsuit involved on this issue as well, or rather contesting the Biden administration's interpretation of federal statute. I shouldn't say a lawsuit, but a letter. And the other states are looking at this very same issue because, as you mentioned, federal law very clearly says that you shall not mail abortifacients through the mail using the U.S. Postal Service. And many state laws, including Kansas's, and there are numerous other states, say that a doctor has to be present when any abortion procedure occurs. And it's interesting. The left has been telling us for so long that they want abortion to be safe and legal, and that's what these laws do. These laws ensure that a doctor is present because these abortion pills cause multiple complications in some cases. But now when they see the opportunity in the Biden administration for this to be just distributed to people without any doctor being there, they're more than happy to push for that. So yes, other states are looking at this as well, and I'm hopeful that other states will, get a similar answer from Walgreens.
So let me ask you the question: if they were, let me give you a hypothetical just for the state of Kansas. I know it may be different in other states, but if a pharmacy went forward like a CVS, what type of legal action could you take?
So there are two possibilities. One is the federal law. Normally, a federal criminal law is only enforceable by the U.S. Justice Department, but this particular law has a RICO provision, which is racketeering, corrupt influence organizations. You might say, well, what does this have to do with RICO and mafia, which is what most people associate RICO with? In fact, there are a host of federal crimes that allow for RICO actions, and RICO actions can be brought by private individuals and they can be brought by states. And we pointed out in our letter to Walgreens is that we would fully intend to move forward on that if Walgreens started dispensing within the state of Kansas via mail or through the stores directly to consumers. And then on top of that, you have various state laws, which typically are criminal laws.
So who would be the individual that would be subject to the criminal penalties here? Could this be the leadership, the executives of these pharmacies that make the decision to sell these illegal drugs?
That's an interesting question. It would depend, of course, on the circumstances, but if you're talking about a RICO action, the RICO action seeks civil penalties, and so it doesn't actually seek a criminal penalty on anyone, but the defendant has to pay treble damages,
right,
which is extremely high,
very costly,
extremely great penalty.
Yeah. What's interesting about the RICO is that has been used against some pro-lifers in years past. Even I think from your own state of Kansas in the past against some involved in trying to stop abortion outside of abortion clinics. That would be kind of interesting to see this used against those pharmacies selling this into states that are pro-life states that are simply trying to protect the unborn.
And it shows the wisdom of Congress in putting these RICO avenues in multiple federal statutes. Another one that many people may be unaware of is that some of our immigration laws have RICO penalties or RICO actions tied into the statute too, because Congress envisioned that there might be a day when you have a federal administration in the White House that doesn't want to enforce the law, that doesn't want to prosecute the crime. And in those circumstances, then it's up to private individuals or states to bring a RICO action. And that's exactly what we are anticipating may have to be done here. But thankfully, Walgreens' vision.
But General Kobach, last question for you, though. As you see this kind of playing out, I mean, you're out there, you've sent this letter, they've responded in a positive way. You're now reaching out to CVS. I mean, how I see this playing out, quite frankly, we could have half the states or more where selling these drugs would be illegal, and it would only be the states that have declared themselves to be pro-abortion states where selling these drugs in pharmacies would be legal.
I think that is entirely possible. And as long as the federal government is not willing to enforce criminal penalties and enforce this federal criminal statute, that's where we are. And this is one of the consequences of having an administration in D.C. in the White House that doesn't want to enforce some federal criminal laws. They're doing that in this context, in the abortion context, and of course they're doing it with regard to immigration and a host of other issues.
Well, it's also important as it emphasizes the need to have men and women at every level of government, like yourself as the Attorney General of Kansas, that's willing to enforce the law when others will not. And so this is why we've got to be voting in every election and making sure that at every level of government we have those that are not lawless, but rather they're willing to abide by the law and enforce the law. So, General, I want to thank you for coming on today. I want to thank you for your leadership on this. Always good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you.